Hey guys, I'm TwoBreathSorrow, and I'm here to do a deck profile on my Blackwings deck. It runs a Royal Oppression format, but since post-September ban list, this deck got really limited, and I'm just trying to show you what I did to make it better. Okay, first of all, there's 3 Siroccos. This card is like the gayest card you'll ever see. If you do a mirror match, you can also pump your monsters with your opponent's monsters' attack points, and this works great with a lot of cards. Like you can pump a Boron and completely screw your opponent over. Let's see, Triple Shura. This card basically gives you a +1 on the field. This can bring out a value, then you can sync with the value, because the value's effect would be negated, and value would end up in the graveyard, which is a good thing. Triple Colute. This is the second gayest cards aside to Sirocco. This is basically the Blackwing version of Honest. Many people hate this. I love it. Others don't. I run only 2 Boros. I think 3 Boros is quite useless because it clogs up your hand, and 2 is already good enough if you have all this other shit. This guy pierces, and with Triple Clute and Sirocco, it's pretty much game. I run 2 Blizzards. It's basically gives you a level 5 or level 6 easily. I normally sync for a Brionic or Cataster, depending on the situation. Might even sync for something like Magical Android or Blackwing Armory. I run 2 Values. This card is really great in the graveyard. Basically, you're using your graveyard to bring out whatever attack beat stick. And this cannot get oppression because it just ends up in the graveyard. Well, it can get oppression, but they're wasting 800 life points. You can always trick them into saying, oh, do you want to oppression this? And they oppression it. And it goes back in graveyard. Then you go do it again. Post-September, this card got released, Breeze. It's basically like a weaker version of Gale. If you add this card via like Black Whirlwind, then you can add some special summon the card, and free level 7 right there, depending on the situation. Gale. Nothing more, nothing less. They limited it for a reason. Cut opponent's attack in half, completely screw it over. And you can basically cut it, then sync something. Gold Ray. Shiny. I run 2 Kaikus. These cards basically do the most graveyard hate you've ever imagined. And it's also a dark monster, which helps for the cards I'll show you later on. And this card, basically you can remove a lot of cards in the graveyard. Like, for example, in X-Sabers you can remove Fault Roll, Arabellum, let's see, Emmer's Blade, anything. In Blackwings you can get rid of their Gale. In GBs you can get rid of Bestiari, and it completely screws their game over. And yeah, that's exactly what it is. Dark Creator. Others people might find it useless, but I find this really useful because when I can actually OTK with this stuff, because when I have no monsters, I special summon this, grab 2 monsters out, sync for Brionic, dump more Blackwing monsters, keep special summoning, syncing, etc. And yeah, completely screw their game over. I used this before in a duel to summon Gale about 5 times in the same match. And yeah, I wonder how many times I cut their opponent's monsters in half. Dark Arm Dragon. This card is actually extremely good in Blackwings. It's basically the game controller early on in the game. Later on in the game, it's harder to summon, but I have other cards in my deck which fixes that, like Dark Creator, for example. It's basically the early version of Dark Creator. It's godly, man. Dark Arm Dragon. Black Rowan. Konami really hit this one badly for September. 2 was alright. 3 was broken. But 1, it just really sucks right now. But basically, you can grab a Blackwing monster from your deck, and it basically keeps your hand full, and it's a really useful card. I run 2 Book of Moons. It protects your monsters from like Mirror Force or enemy attacks. I personally like it, but 3 would be too much, and my deck would be too big, so I only left it at 2. I run 2 Dark Eruptions. It's basically more Gales for use if you used it already. You can also bring back Blizzard, Kalutes. I usually bring back Kalute. It's hilarious, using the same Kalute like 3 times. And yeah, that's basically it. Allure of Darkness. I like this card because it's basically draw power. And yeah, draw power is good. Pot of Avarice. Basically, this card helps Dark Armed because it brings 5 Blackwing, any monsters back to your deck. Then you draw 2, which is a +1. And it's basically a staple in this deck because you need the cards, and you need less monsters in your graveyard because you don't want to suffer a Monster Reborn. And yeah, super rare. This one, since I run a value oppression format, you can basically return your values back to your grave and sync for another monster, and that explains it all. Dark Hole, Giant Trunade, Monster Reborn, staples. I run 1, 2, Icarus. No, I'm joking. I run 3. Basically, this is the gayest card you've ever seen. You'll do a lot of field clearing with this card, and you can also set like a value face down, and then use Icarus attack, contribute a value to blow up 2 monsters. And this is extremely deadly during end phase because they can't really do much. And yeah, 3 Icarus attack is like crazy. I love it. Useful. 1 Delta Crow anti-reverse. It's basically their back row clear. The new heavy storm. It's like a heavy storm from before. It has its weaknesses, like if they activate them, then you can't really do much. But still, this card is really good. Royal Oppression. I wanted to run 2. I usually did before, but they hit it. They limited it to 1, so I'm stuck with 1. 2 Bottomless, staple, 1 Mirror Force, another staple, and a Torrential Tribute. Well, that's it, guys. That's for my Blackwings. Rate, comment, and subscribe.